Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special bonus episode of Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. Normally, this is a podcast where we watch Muppet movies 2 minutes at a time and talk about them a lot, but today we're doing something a little bit different. We're watching a Muppet TV special and talking about it a lot. I'm your host, Ryan Rowe.
And I'm your other host, Anthony Strand.
And today we have a very special return guest back with us. Introduce yourself, guest.
Hello, I'm the guest. My name is Joe Hennis. I am the co-owner and editor-in-chief of toughpigs.com.
Thank you for joining us.
Hey, you know what? It's great to be here. I've been eagerly awaiting the return of this podcast, and I'm glad that I have front row seats for it.
Yeah, we saved a seat for you.
Thank you.
Today we're talking about The Muppets Go Hollywood, which is a special that aired on CBS on May 16th, 1979. That's about 2 weeks before the Muppet movie was released. So this was kind of a promotional thing.
And let's note that Jim Henson died 11 years later to the day.
Yeah.
As long as we're saying the date May 16th out loud, we should acknowledge that, because that's weird, right?
Yeah, that is a weird coincidence of all. I mean, there are 365 days of the year. It is weird that this particular project was released on that same date.
I mean, I guess the odds are that something notable would have happened in Muppet history on May 16th, and it just happens to be this special.
Right. True.
Yeah, so they're promoting their new movie, and this is just kind of an odd special all around. The premise is that the Muppets are throwing a big party for all their show business friends. It's sort of... There are parts that seem obviously scripted, but a lot of it just kind of jumps around from place to place. It just kind of feels like they pointed the camera at things and hoped that they would capture things that were entertaining. It takes place at the Coconut Grove nightclub in Hollywood, and the Imagine Illustrated book by Karen Falk tells us that the party sequences were taped there on April 6th, 1979. So it opens with a teaser scene from the Muppet movie with Bernie the agent telling Kermit about Hollywood. And it occurred to me that today, when a new movie is coming out, we have the teaser trailer, and then we have the trailer, and then we get these preview clips, and they're all over the internet, and we watch them over and over again. But in 1979, this was probably so thrilling for Muppet fans who were just waiting to get any glimpse of the new movie coming out.
And I guess they didn't care at all about spoilers back then. They were just like, oh man, I can't wait to see Dom DeLuise in a rowboat talking to Kermit's frog in a swamp.
It's not like Dom DeLuise. I mean, it's not like they show Orson Welles. You know, it's not like
that would have been.
Dom DeLuise is one of the. He's the first human being we see, other than Bruce Kirby Sr., right?
That's true. Although a lot of them are on. There's one of the posters that has a lot of the cameo guest stars' heads on it.
Sure, they wanted those Cloris fans to go see it.
Yeah, to go see it and find that she's in it for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
We get a voiceover from Gary Owens, who is probably best known for being the announcer on Laugh-In, but also did many other voiceover and voice acting and announcer type things in his career. Now, for those of you listening, we just took a short break to double check Gary Owens' resume, and we determined that although he was not on Freakazoid, he did work on a few episodes of Dinosaurs.
Apparently, he announced. He was the narrator in 2 episodes. I don't know what episodes would be narrated from Dinosaurs.
No, I can't.
I bet he was a narrator on TV, like on something they watched.
Oh, that makes more sense.
All the time on that show. It was like all they did.
They loved their prehistoric television.
It was 95% of the stories on Dinosaurs are the Sinclairs are in front of the television.
Apparently, he did some work with Sesame Street. He was on some various Letter of the Alphabet cartoons.
Oh yeah,
and he narrated the Secret Drawing cartoon series.
Right, I was just watching an old episode of Sesame Street recently where he was on one of those. Those are fun. So yeah, Gary Owens, he did all kinds of things. And here,
I love that guy. I don't know why I love him so much, but every time I hear his voice, I'm like, hey, Gary Owens!
Yeah.
Guy.
I bet you love him because he was the original voice for Space Ghost, and Space Ghost still sounds like him.
That's true. He also reprised his role as Space Ghost on Batman: The Brave and the Bold, which was maybe one of the
Oh,
best animated series ever.
Yeah, that's awesome. I forgot about that.
that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so here, though, he's delivering some dramatic words about the meteoric rise of one small frog. And then he introduces our special, which is The Muppets Go Hollywood. And then we get a montage of celebrities arriving at the Coconut Grove, which, by the way, was the famous nightclub at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. It opened in 1921. It has since been demolished, unfortunately, but it was a very big deal with show business types in the 1930s and 40s. So yeah, there's so many like genuinely famous celebrities in this montage. Candice Bergen, Gary Busey, Ethel Merman. I think Donnie Most is there. He was a big
Yeah, Donnie
star.
Most is totally in there. It's interesting to me to see how many celebrities are there who did not work on the Muppet Show. It's like obviously they invited a lot of people who had been on the Muppet Show at that point, but then it's like LeVar Burton shows up, and it's like, well, LeVar Burton would have been an amazing guest star.
He really
Yeah,
would have. Young, like Roots era LeVar would have been amazing to see on the Muppet
Yeah,
Show.
completely.
But also, like Steve Allen is there, the original host of the Tonight Show.
yeah.
He's one of the people who arrives, and I don't think he ever worked with the Muppets ever outside. Like he doesn't work with them here, but I don't think he ever did.
I
Yeah.
like that Mel Brooks brought in Carl Reiner, and Gary Owen says Carl Reiner looking very confused
Yeah, what's up with that? Why
Yeah,
is he
that's
confused?
because he's Carl Reiner, and he doesn't know where he is. He's an old man.
Is he like, why are there frogs and pigs
there was,
here?
Yes.
he thought they were going to the premiere of The Jerk, premiere of his movie, not some movie that Mel Brooks plays a Nazi in.
Right. Then we have our hosts, Dick Van Dyke and Rita Moreno. Rita Moreno, of course, was on The Muppet Show. Dick Van Dyke, again, surprising that he was not on The Muppet Show.
I want to correct you real quick because they are not the hosts. They're Dick Van Dyke says that Kermit's the host, and he is there as the tour guide,
Oh,
which I thought was an interesting, way to put it. Because people already get confused when they ask like, who's your favorite host of the Muppet Show,
right.
and it's like, well, there's only one host of the Muppet Show. Everyone
Okay.
else was a guest star.
So who's your favorite tour guide of this special?
Oh, well, you can't beat Rita Moreno.
Right.
She's amazing.
Yeah, so there's this weird little moment with her where she says it's going to be a night of elegance, dignity, culture, and then Sweetums pushes her out of the way, which could have been a funny joke, but it's, again, the special things seem like genuinely shot on the fly and kind of weirdly spontaneous, so it just doesn't quite work.
No, well, can I put all my cards on the table?
Yes.
That's how I feel about almost all of the jokes in this. Like it like this is like the least real the Muppets have ever seemed to me. Like just everything feels like these people aren't really here for the Muppets. It's just kind of a thing. The Muppets are weirdly out of place. Like they keep trying to do their bits, but nobody's paying attention. The whole thing just feels off to me.
I totally get that, but I actually really appreciate it. I like it a lot. Well, first of all, because it feels different, but also it makes it feel like you're actually there, which I like. I like the fact that it's not like there's canned laughter, although some of these jokes definitely probably could use a little bit of canned laughter. But it feels like if you were actually going to be at this party, as opposed to an audience member watching at home or even in a real audience, if Sweetums bust in and push Rita Moreno, assuming you find it funny, then you'd be like, oh, great. Like you wouldn't be
No,
like,
I get that. It's just I don't know. I don't really know how to say what I mean except that it feels like imitation Muppets almost. Like more than just about anything from Jim Henson's lifetime. The characters just feel really out of place, and it just kind of makes me sad and annoyed.
I find it amusing and entertaining because it's so weird. It does sort of feel like maybe Jim Henson wanted to celebrate the release of his movie by throwing a party for a bunch of celebrities. And then, like at the last minute, they said, "Oh, wait a minute! What if we bring the Muppets and make a TV special out of this?" And it definitely doesn't feel like anything else the Muppets have done. It's kind of it's not so polished, and I think the Sweetums gag with Rita Moreno is a good example where
Well,
like the camera doesn't quite capture it, but they use that take, and I guess that they didn't try it again.
but also, like, I think the other reason that didn't land for me, like, Rita Moreno takes so much abuse in this thing. There are
She does. She gets knocked around.
like the she does that Carmen Miranda number with the, I guess, is it the Muppet? It's all the monsters, or it's just the mutations, maybe.
That's
That
the
one was just
mutations.
mutations. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just kind of like shoving her around in that, and Animal like stomps her and breaks her spine.
Yeah, there's something definitely kind of there's something I don't know want to use the word on the podcast, but it's something very abusey about that.
Well, it's
Yeah.
this running gag with Animal where he keeps popping up and chasing women, and then Rita Moreno is trying to tell him not to chase women, which she's trying to be progressive. The whole shtick with Animal chasing women is less amusing than it was in 1979 for sure.
But I also think it's less like, I don't think it's that funny in like Muppets Take Manhattan anymore either, or whatever.
Right.
But it's even worse here, I think, because what you guys were saying, how it feels. This feels more realistic. It feels more on the fly. So it feels like Animal is an actual predator running around, an actual predator running around, and like when Rita Moreno tries to stop his reign of terror, he throws her on the ground and stomps on her.
Well, and like that's
nobody
the end
does
of the story.
anything to help her.
Because like the way it should have ended is like she should have stomped him to the ground, and then there you've got your little joke arc, which like so I think also, like you guys are saying, this could be an example of like maybe they didn't have a script for some of this stuff. Maybe they just went for it and they're like, we'll fix it in post, and that's all they had.
It's funny because Jerry Jewell and Don Hinckley are credited with the script. So obviously, Jerry Jewell was head writer on The Muppet Show. Don Hinckley was a staff writer on The Muppet Show for most of it. But the director here is somebody named Stan Harris, who didn't work with the Muppets before or after this. Directed a bunch of these. I guess Muppet Wiki calls them showbiz spectaculars.
This sounds great.
He did a George Burns special, a Linda Carter special, a Johnny Cash special, and a Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton special.
So the Muppets are very much in his playground here. So I think he's just shooting this like he would anything else. And that's why the Muppets kind of get lost sometimes.
Well, I also wonder, like, I mean, as far as we know, there was no written script. As far as we know, there was a couple of bits like, there's a Piggy bit and a Fozzie bit that were filmed on location later on in the special.
Those are scripted for sure.
Those are scripted, and like that's something that Jerry Jewell could have written easily beforehand or even afterward. And like I wouldn't be surprised if like those guys were just kind of like on hand while they were filming to say, okay, I got an idea. Do this and this and this, and like you're a writer.
Yeah, that might be right. Those location interviews. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, sure. They're very strange, also.
Well, they say so. It's Rita Moreno interviews Piggy, quote unquote, and Dick Van Dyke interviews Fozzie, but we don't see them. We don't see Mr. Van Dyke or Ms. Moreno.
It's pretty obvious that they were not actually there when they shot these bits with Piggy and Fozzie, so it's just their voices interviewing them from off camera.
Right. It's just a disembodied voice. And it is the weirdest, like, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't seem like an interview that they're conducting, especially on the first one with Piggy and Rita Moreno. The whole time I was thinking, what? Who made this choice? This is terrible. It's so baffling to me.
I wouldn't go that far. That one seems at least like a very Piggy moment where she's poolside at this hotel. She's getting these phone calls from Frank Sinatra. She's dictating a letter to Jimmy Carter. But then it turns out that it's all fake because Scooter is the one making these phone calls and all that.
Yeah, that's a very season 1 Muppet Show kind of joke.
It also feels like it's sort of a predecessor to the Miss Piggy's Hollywood special 10 years later.
Well, but it's also literally her storyline from the Dom DeLuise episode in season 2, where Scooter is writing her fan letters.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's true. I will say there's one joke in there that I think is maybe one of the funniest jokes in the special,
Yep.
where you know what I'm gonna say. So she is declining. Miss Piggy's declining a call from Frank Sinatra, and Rita Moreno says, "Do you know what I do to record an album with Frank Sinatra?" And Piggy goes, "I think so."
Yep. Yeah.
Get it, you guys.
That's pretty good. That in addition to being jumped on by Animal, Rita Moreno gets slut shamed by Piggy. That is hilarious. I just don't like this thing, guys.
I know you
I can
don't.
tell.
I know you don't.
All right, what else?
Yeah, so we've been jumping around. Let me see.
Oh well, can I? If we jump back a little bit to the beginning, I really appreciate how the whole special starts with all of the celebrities arriving in these limos and Rolls Royces and stuff like that, and then the Muppets do as well, which I feel like is both like a really appropriate, like, oh, they're in Hollywood and they're doing this big Hollywood red carpet thing, but also it feels now watching it in 2018 like it's like such old Hollywood, like that they're specifically coming out in cars and walking out in front of the press corps that way, as opposed to just walking down the red carpet, which is what they would do for any movie premiere nowadays.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, things have changed a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Fozzie is driving. Fozzie and Kermit show up in the station wagon from the movie with Fozzie driving. So I guess they were like, well, we have this station wagon that we rebuilt so a puppet could drive it, so we might as well use it again.
Yeah, for 3 whole seconds you get to see it. And then there's a great bit after that where Kermit and Fozzie get out of the car, and some fan thinks that he sees Fozzie and he says, "Oh, it's the dog that plays the piano."
I love that guy.
Yeah, that's a great gag.
That guy,
and Fozzie says,
"Is so enthusiastic." I love him. Go on.
Yeah, that extra is amazing.
Hey, look, that's really Kermit the Frog. And look who's with him. What's his name? The dog that plays the piano.
No, and what's his name? The bear who tells the jokes.
Okay, let's go, Fozzie.
Yes, sir.
And then Fozzie says, "No, I'm the bear that tells the jokes," and then he tells a terrible joke, and everyone boos him. And he says, "I'm the dog that plays the piano."
But does Fozzie... I was trying to think about this. Like, if you were not a Muppet fan and you saw Fozzie, might you think that he was a dog rather than a bear?
Oh, sure. He doesn't look like a bear at all.
And Ralph doesn't really look that much like a dog other than the floppy ears.
Yeah, and a lot of dogs don't have floppy ears.
True. And people mistake celebrities for other celebrities all the time anyway, so...
And, like, Kermit doesn't necessarily look like an actual frog.
That's
Frogs don't have collars.
Or the squinty little eyes.
That's right.
Um,
Piggy looks like a pig, though. Piggy definitely looks like a pig.
Oh, yeah, you can't mistake Piggy for any other animal.
Totally.
There's a lot of disco in this special.
So actually one of the best, like probably my favorite sequence in this, I've been grumpy so far. But right after they play Can You Picture That, they do just like a dance break. All the celebrities and all the Muppets disco dance for a while.
Yeah.
That is the greatest.
And the celebrities look like they're having so much fun. I think it's Cheryl Ladd and Raquel Welch and somebody else are dancing with one of the Muppets, and they just look like they're having the time of their lives.
Well, and like that sequence has a couple of really great jokes as well, where there's one where like Piggy is slow dancing with Charles Durning.
Yeah.
And Christopher Reeve tries to ask Piggy to dance, and she tells him to blow off so she can keep dancing with the not quite as handsome Charles Durning.
Yeah. I love that. Also, I love LeVar Burton and Janice are just like getting into it. Like
I ship them.
I ship them too. I actually, one time Jordan was on the holodeck and he.
Yeah, oh my god! Is this whole special taking place on the holodeck?
This is Jordy's fantasy on the holodeck. Oh man, I was wondering why Lieutenant Barkley was there too.
All right, I hope everyone gets that joke as much as we do.
Who played Lieutenant Barkley? I don't get that part.
Dwight Schultz played him. He's not in this, but he also loved to fantasize in the holodeck.
That is true.
I see.
Yes. But also in that sequence, there's a bit where Fozzie is dancing by himself, and Rita Moreno tries to ask him if he wants to dance, and he says no and keeps dancing by himself.
He just keeps doing this little dance where he's like wiggling one of his fingers. And
yeah.
And that's a really funny Fozzie moment.
And then immediately afterward, Rita is dancing with Kermit, and then Fozzie kind of like elevators up right in between them.
Yeah.
Which seems like they were like everyone was just completely screwing around, and Frank was just like, I got something. I'm just gonna have Fozzie pop up between them. Done.
Yeah,
Cut,
I think
print.
that's an example of a spontaneous thing that they probably made up on the spot that works. Like that, I laughed out loud at.
For sure.
And I mean, I think Rita really helps too because she's so into it.
Yeah.
And earlier, just a few minutes before that dance sequence, she has an interview with Floyd where they're on the dance floor and just kind of like cozying up and dancing real close while she interviews him about the movie. And that's so charming too, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And he says a bunch of, like, he uses way too many words to answer the question, which is very Floyd.
Yes.
Hey, Floyd, tell me something. How would you say that you guys have adjusted to life in Hollywood?
Oh, fear not, my sweet flower. The Muppets are happily harbored in Hollywood. I mean, we dig the beat of Beverly Hills and the soul of Santa Monica. We groove with Gardena, swing with Cienega, and satisfactionate with Sepulveda. Ours is an amorosity with the city of angels.
Does that mean you like it here?
It's okay, Mama.
Oh, you're such a smooth talker, boy.
The speaking of Rita interviewing people, there's a bit where she's interviewing Robert Stack.
I was just going to say that's what leads into the interview with Piggy at the pool.
Yeah.
Robert wants Piggy to ravage him.
Yes, he says she has more latent sex since Jean Harlow.
What does that mean?
I think he meant to say latent sex appeal.
Yeah.
But he didn't say the word appeal, so she just has more latent sex.
How much latent sex do you think Piggy has?
Well, almost as much as Jean Harlow, apparently.
I guess. And it's a very weird, like, that whole thing doesn't really make sense because she's asking Robert Stack about Miss Piggy's inaccessibility, and then he answers with something about Miss Piggy's sex, and then it goes into Miss Piggy at the swimming pool at a hotel.
Robert Stack is 100% thirsty for Miss Piggy, right?
Well, okay.
Rita Moreno said the name Miss Piggy, and his mind only went to one place.
Well, also, if you watch that bit when he says latent sex, the look on Rita Moreno's face, like she's looking off, she has like this look of fear, and she looks off camera, obviously probably at Jim, to be like, should we not be doing this?
Like, oh, can we use this?
Yeah. Well, and like honestly, if you need any further proof that there was no script for this special, it's when Rita Moreno talks to Robert Stack.
Well, and same with when they Dick Van Dyke tries to talk to Peter Falk about what the Coconut Grove was like in the 30s.
Oh my God, yeah.
And Dick Van Dyke says, "Can you imagine what it was like in the 30s?" And Peter Falk just says, "No, I can't. I guess it was a lot like
I can't imagine."
Well, and then Fozzie shows up and he's like, "Hey, how do you like the food?" "Well, see ya."
Yeah, no, hey, because this special is garbage. Like that's
well, then
why.
Peter Falk is like, "Oh, that's what you should have asked me about, the food." Like, he doesn't want to talk about the storied history of this Hollywood landmark. He just wants to talk about the food.
Right, which like is kind of like a metaphor for this special, because instead of wanting the Muppets to be hilarious, they just want to show like Peter Falk rambling incoherently.
See, now, but here's the thing though: if they made a special like this today, where they were like, "We're just going to film a bunch of random moments with Muppets and celebrities, and every once in a while we'll actually script something," like I would eat that shit up.
No, they did that. It was called Lady Gaga special.
I was just going to say that.
Well, Lady Gaga special was more like they pretended to script it, or they like that wasn't like.
No, there's a bunch of parts where it's just like Lady Gaga and Kermit at the piano saying whatever's on their mind.
Or like Kristen Bell and Bobo.
Yeah.
But like the Kristen Bell Bobo stuff was more fun than Lady Gaga stuff. Maybe that has more to do with who the celebrities are.
Yeah. How do you feel about the gag where Scooter calls Kermit to the kitchen to see how the Swedish chef is serving meatballs? That feels like a joke that was left over from the Muppet Show, so they just decided to throw it in here.
Okay, did you guys hear the Swedish chef call himself Bjorn Borg?
Well,
yes.
yeah, I thought it was just like part of his regular Swedish nonsense chatter. But
no,
I
thought that was
he
great.
says Bjorn Borg.
Especially because people make that joke so much that like Bjorn Borg is Swedish, and it sounds like the thing that the Swedish chef says.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I laughed out loud at that.
Yeah, that was great.
The rest of that sketch, the problem with so much of this, whatever, I've said 80 problems, but one of my other problems is I have trouble hearing just how the sound is mixed. There's all this background chatter and the music, and so like I can't hear a lot of the dialogue. Maybe
Well,
if I
that's
had a better
interesting.
copy.
Were
it would
you
be-
watching it on YouTube, or did you have a clean copy of it?
No, I have a million-year-old VHS copy. I do not
Oh,
have.
see, I
do
wonder
not
if
have
that
a
had
good-
more to do with the fact that it was your copy was, because mine sounded just fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess you'll just have to watch it again.
Yeah.
You guys want to send me a DVD of Muppets Go Hollywood? I'll watch it again.
All right, you promised.
You said it.
Well, you know what? I'll watch it with my daughter because she'd probably enjoy it. Like,
Sure.
So I like the bit where so Miss Piggy comes in to sing Babyface, but she's carried in by like on a, what would you even call that thing?
It's called a litter.
A litter.
Yes.
Can you describe a litter? Because people probably don't know what it means from the name.
Is like it's sort of like a couch, but it has 4 long handles. So she's carried in on this thing by 4 men.
Yes, and they're kind of dressed like Egyptians.
And the question that you ask when you see that, because you see the entire thing being carried all the way to the stage by these 4 men, is where is Frank Oz?
I think about that every time Miss Piggy makes a huge entrance. Like,
And the answer must be that she's just that he's just lying down inside this thing, sticking his arm up.
But it's not just the fact that like he's lying down in a weird, like, because we are used to the idea that Muppeteers are hiding somewhere, you know, in any given situation. But the idea that like Piggy makes his grand entrance and she's being carried by these 4 burly men, and like everyone's like going nuts because, you know, she's this like diva, she's this beautiful woman, whatever. And then it's like, then you think about the fact that like, no, they're doing that for this bald guy with a mustache. You just can't see him.
right.
Yeah, a bald guy with a mustache, the most beautiful pig in the world. And then, I like that they reworked the lyrics of Babyface somewhat so that it's a song about how, like, basically how beautiful Piggy is.
Babyface, I've got the cutest little babyface. There's not another one could take my place. Babyface, your poor heart is jumping. I guess I stifled something.
Yeah, she loves singing about herself. And then at the end of the song, when it's time to go, she shouts at the men, "All right, meat, let's move it."
This is really like approaching the apex of Miss Piggy mania. And
I mean, because we saw stuff like that later. Like they kind of do that in Fantastic Miss Piggy. They kind of do it in the celebration of 30 years. You know, kind of they do like big elaborate now Piggy's here.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Was this the first time they had done something like that though?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time we've seen these characters outside of the Muppet Show ever, right?
Well, so one thing that you guys talked about on the podcast was that in the Muppet movie, that was kind of like when Piggy turned from like this misunderstood, maybe talentless, you know, pig singer on some third-rate variety show to, oh no, she's actually a huge star. And so I wonder if this is like the moment in which it's like, oh no, now she's a movie star. Like
Right.
Now the joke is not that she stinks. The joke now is that she's this diva.
And that the most glamorous diva in Hollywood is a pig.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly they had sensed that would be well received, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then there's also in this same special the musical number where Dick Van Dyke sings "You Ought to Be in Pictures," and they go to a montage of just photos of Miss Piggy in various glamorous costumes.
Yeah, that's the John Barrett cameo, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he probably took all those pictures, huh?
Yes,
Well,
that's my guess.
It's interesting to me because we've talked about how so much of this special is on the fly, right? They're just hanging out. And then they put so much effort into especially that intro for Piggy, this huge, elaborate introduction, when everything else is just like, hey, look, it's Fozzie. You know?
Well, and they obviously had planned at least, I mean, I didn't count, but like at least like 3 or 4 numbers that they were going to do on stage. Because you got the one with Rita Moreno doing the Carmen Miranda thing. You've got the Monsters at the beginning doing Hooray for Hollywood.
You got Johnny Mathis.
And then this one with Miss Piggy. Is there another one, or is it just the 3? Oh, the Electric Mayhem sings "Can You Picture That?"
Also, Johnny Mathis singing "Never Before, Never Again."
Oh, can we talk about that for a minute?
The fact that it lasts for a million years.
Well,
Yes.
it feels like it lasts for a million years because it's Johnny Mathis singing it and not Miss Piggy.
Well,
Right.
I actually have a very short story about that. So, this is probably back in 2004, or maybe it's 2003, and I was in New York City, and I went to the Museum of TV and Radio, which is now called the Paley Center. And back then, there was no YouTube, and like there was like Muppet things I had always wanted to watch, and this was one of the things I had chosen that day to watch at the museum. And I'd never seen Muppets Go Hollywood before. I was very excited about the whole thing, but I didn't have a ton of time. So I'm watching it, and I get to Never Before, Never Again, and I'm like, I didn't know who Johnny Mathis was. I did not care for the song. I didn't want to listen to the song. So I was like, I'm gonna fast forward through this, and then like that'll save me like 2 or 3 minutes. And so I fast forward through the song, and then the file breaks, and I couldn't finish it. Like it wouldn't let me access the video again. So for years, I had only watched up to this point, and it was only a few years ago that I was able to watch the second half of the special.
Oh man, I mean, you missed some good parts, but Johnny Mathis singing "Never Before, Never Again" is not one of them.
Well, and the funny part about that, maybe not ha funny, but as we talked about in a previous episode, the original plan for the Muppet movie was during Miss Piggy's fantasy sequence, it was going to be Johnny Mathis singing "Never Before, Never Again" until Frank Oz saved the entire film by suggesting that it would be funnier if Miss Piggy sang it.
Yeah.
Well, and didn't they originally want it to be Frank Sinatra?
Paul Williams has said that was when they wrote it, they were thinking Frank Sinatra, but they couldn't get him for whatever reason.
What if Frank Sinatra was in this special?
Well,
Guys.
he called Miss Piggy on the phone.
Oh, you know what I would do to have Frank Sinatra in this special?
I think so.
Well, you guys, I was gonna say Johnny Mathis made an entire career of being Frank Sinatra's not available. Sure, let's get back on. It's not. I mean, he's fine. Like, but as crooners go, it's like, have you ever met anyone whose favorite crooner is Johnny Mathis?
Yes, Johnny Fiamma's Ma.
Johnny Fiamma's mom. Right. Another. You know what?
That's him,
Muppets
isn't it?
Tonight yeah, that's him. He was on it. He was on Muppets Tonight. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so Muppets Tonight also loves Johnny Mathis. So
Yes.
you got me. Anyway, he's still alive, so maybe he'll be back on another
Good for him.
Muppets.
I will say that he holds that note at the end of the song. Like that's pretty impressive.
Well, he's like a professional or something.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Most. Okay, so let's talk about how much Sam the Eagle loves celebrities.
Sam the Eagle tells Dick Van Dyke that he's there just to observe the weird behavior going on, but he's holding a notebook. What's in it? Autographs.
Sam the Eagle loves celebrities, which
He loves
secretly,
Walter Pigeon.
He's secretly,
And Rudy Valley, which we don't see Rudy Valley in the special, do we?
No, not as far as I didn't notice him.
He's hiding behind a table somewhere.
He's catering.
Here's the thing. I barely know what Rudy Valley looked like in the 40s, let alone 1979.
Oh yeah, I can't. What would old Rudy Valley look like?
Yeah, I'm sure he just looked kind of like Edward Herman, if I had to guess.
A special appearance by Rudy Valley.
Yeah. So, but then one of my favorite jokes in this special is when Dick Van Dyke asks Sam if he'd like his autograph.
Wait a minute, these are you're collecting autographs.
Have you seen Walter Pigeon? He's my favorite.
No, I don't think Walter's here tonight. Would you like to have my autograph?
Maybe. Who are you?
Well, then Dick Van Dyke gets to give one of those great looks to the camera.
Yeah,
He has
like-
a couple of those.
Yeah.
He really sells that one. That's
I also like his, as long as we're talking about that, I like his take at the very beginning when the Electric Mayhem arrives and then immediately drives away.
because they want to go park where it's cheaper.
Yeah, he just gives this really... No, it's Statler and Waldorf drive away. He just gives this really disappointed take to the camera. That's very funny.
I was disappointed that Statler and Waldorf, although I guess it's in character for them to come anyway, but I really like the idea that they drove up and then just kept going and didn't come in.
If they didn't actually show up later.
Why did they show up to begin with? Like,
but that's a pretty classic Statler and Waldorf type burn, though, too.
True. Although speaking of Statler and Waldorf, like, so they obviously did a lot of stuff. Like, they show up throughout the special sitting at a table, and their bits are, I don't think they're scripted either, or if they are, it's very loose. But there's one that's so weird.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Well,
go
it's
ahead.
obviously the evil eye.
It's the evil where they see they're trying to get the waiter's attention and he's not coming to them. And so Waldorf says, "I'm going to give him the evil eye," and he does that weird puppetry thing where his eye kind of sticks out a little bit, and then the waiter trips and falls, and then they laugh. And that's it. That's a whole bit.
That's pretty good.
I like that.
Yep.
They also put a sound effect over it. Like as soon as he pops his eye, it's like this, like the science fiction sound.
Waiter! He'll never come over.
You can't get a waiter around here. If that waiter doesn't come by, I'm going to give him the evil eye.
Oh, do it!
Give him the evil eye?
Yes!
Okay, here goes.
Oh! Works every time.
That's what the evil eye sounds like, Ryan.
Yes, exactly. We should talk about the moment where Dick Van Dyke is interviewing Jim Henson, and it leads into Paul Williams and Kenny Asher discussing how they wrote Rainbow Connection.
Well, I before you talk about Paul Williams and Kenny Asher, it just the fact that like when you see this and you're like, oh man, like Jim Henson, he's gonna say something cool, or like he's gonna do a bit with Dick Van Dyke or whatever, and Jim gets about like 15 seconds of screen time and then passes the buck.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like, oh, there are a lot of celebrities here. There are a lot of these people from the Muppet Show, and he's like, oh yeah, we've done 72 of them, and then they pretty much immediately go into the other thing.
This is also very early in Jim Henson's appearing on camera regularly.
That's true.
Like, you remember in, I guess it must be the Brian J. Jones biography, they talk about how, like, in the 80s, he took classes to appear more natural on camera and stuff.
Oh, I forgot about that.
In preparation for, like, Jim Henson Hour.
Wow.
He made a conscious effort to present himself as more of a personality.
Interesting.
In years after this. So I think he probably wasn't all that really keen about being on camera in these days.
Yeah, he might not have loved it.
If I had to guess.
Yeah, I get that.
So getting back to that Paul Williams and Kenny Asher interview, that is lovely. That is gorgeous. I love it.
Yes. I love the way it's shot, and then I just love just a little sort of quiet meditation by the songwriters who wrote this song, which had not yet become like an all-time classic.
We love Kermit the Frog just like everybody else does, so we wanted to write something very, very special for Kermit.
The next thing was coming up with a title, and we had a bit of a hard time. We kept coming up with titles that almost fit what we wanted to say until a friend of yours
helped us out a little, really. We'd written almost the whole song, but we didn't have that payoff line, which we knew would be the title. And we were frustrated, frankly. And a lady that I know very well said, what's the problem? You're having difficulty finding that rainbow connection between people and their dreams? And we said, a rainbow connection? We raced into the studio and wrote this song for Kermit.
Well, and I appreciate that Kenny Asher actually gets to say something, because it's so rare that we hear. I mean, we've heard Paul Williams talk about the song 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But Ryan, you've heard Kenny Asher talk about this song, but I haven't, and Anthony hasn't.
I've heard him play the song. I have not actually heard him talk about it.
Oh, he didn't talk about it at the time you saw him
he just sat
live?
down at the piano and played it.
Wow. That's too bad. Well, then I also really appreciate the fact that they start singing the song, playing the song, and then it like very naturally segues into Kermit playing Rainbow Connection in the movie.
Yeah, well, it's nice. Honestly, that interview kind of made me wish they had just made a behind-the-scenes documentary that's an hour long.
Sure.
Instead of, just like, hey, look, there's Cheryl Ladd. Animal's gonna slap her on the butt.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Terrible.
Yeah. Also, I like Paul Williams' giant red 1979 sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah. So there's another segment on the floor of the ballroom where Dick Van Dyke asks Kermit and Miss Piggy where they're staying, and Miss Piggy doesn't want to say, but Kermit admits that they're staying at the Bide-A-Wee Motor Inn. It's the way that joke is delivered. It seems like that is supposed to be something that would be familiar to people. Like Bide-A-Wee. What is I?
Oh, I was hoping one of you guys would know.
You guys, a joke that kind of sounds like "by the way." Isn't it just?
I don't know, or it sounds almost like the way a Scottish person would say, like, "Come sit down and Bide-A-Wee."
Or it's almost, or alternate theory, it's almost like this special is terrible, and they didn't put any thought into it.
But I did do a Google search and found that there's a Bite-A-Wee motel, not in Los Angeles, but in Pacific Grove, California, which is about 120 miles away from Hollywood. Also, there's a Bite-A-Wee animal shelter in New York City.
Oh.
But, Kermit comments that the Bite-A-Wee Motor Inn accepts livestock. I don't know if the animal shelter accepts livestock, but...
Well, then this piggy gives them a double karate chop. And Dick Van Dyke does a good job at pretending like he is hurt and falling down.
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke's pretty great in this. I mean, like, bizarrely, this is the only time he worked with the Muppets until... I think he's in the Disneyland 60th anniversary special. He took a photo with Kermit backstage or something.
Wow. They didn't really do a bit together, though.
Decades later, but it's like, this is it. I mean, he was never on Sesame Street. He never did anything else with the Muppets.
Isn't that strange?
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad he got to do this. I'm glad he gets to do things with Muppets in it. You know? But
well, you would expect like he could have been on Sesame Street at some point. Like he would have been a natural there.
Yeah, for sure.
He could have done a voice of a dinosaur on Dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, that would have been fun. What kind of dinosaur would he have been?
He would have been a corrupt politician dinosaur.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
Who you think is so suave and nice, and then it turns out he's corrupt.
Oh no, not Dick Van Dyke.
Robbie has a real eye-opening experience when he meets his favorite congressman dinosaur.
The Dick Van Dykeosaurus.
Yes. His name is Rob Petrol.
Ooh,
wow,
yes,
that's perfect.
Oh, this joke wasn't going anywhere, and then it went there.
Missed opportunity.
All right. What else happens in this stinker?
Well, so the performance of "Can You Picture That" by the Electric Mayhem is fun. I think they're just lip syncing to the track from the movie.
They're
it sounds the same.
definitely lip syncing to the track from the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lip syncing puppets, always fun. Another note I had about "You Ought to Be in Pictures." Miss Piggy and Dick Van Dyke are dancing, and she's sort of spinning around or something, and her hair gets all in her face, and she's doing the thing that she sometimes does, where she's kind of spits the hair out of her face. But then Dick Van Dyke is also helping her brush the hair away, which I thought was a nice puppet co-starring moment for him.
Yeah, most people don't do that. Like, there are many times. I was watching the John Denver Christmas special recently with the Muppets, and there's at least 2 moments in which Piggy gets hair all over her face, and she spits it out. But like, there's only so much you could do because it's just a puppet. It's not actually, skin and lips and whatever. And she's just like does the rest of the scene with hair all over her face because John Denver doesn't know how to do the thing that Dick Van Dyke did so well of just
it's not that hard.
Yeah,
be a gentleman. That I think we've been jumping around, but I think then that would bring me to the musical number with Rita Moreno and the Mutations at the end.
Yeah,
which is crazy. She's wearing this Carmen Miranda costume with fruit on her head, and just again the camera is sort of all over the place. And what is the song? It's the title of the song is not on Muppet Wiki.
Oh, I meant to look it up and I forgot.
Yeah, the lyrics. I like your hips. I like your eyes. I like your lips. I like your eyes. Do you like my hips? Something. I've never heard this song before.
Did you Google the lyrics?
I did, and nothing came up for a song title.
Huh.
If anyone knows what this song is, let us know.
And add it to Muppet Wiki.
Yes, please. That, of course, leads into the conga line.
Conga line? Who doesn't love a conga line?
And some... Conga line goes for 100 years and nothing happens in it.
Well, that's what a conga line is.
That's true.
You guys, the Muppets do funny things on television, and that conga line is nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Well, how about a shot of the Muppets that was obviously shot in front of a blue screen later doing the conga and then matted over the shot of the celebrities, because that pops up twice.
That is good grief. The comedian's a bear level comedy. I love it.
That might be the low point of the special, where it's just like they obviously couldn't have the Muppets doing a real conga line with these celebrities because they don't have legs.
Well, Fletcher Bird is there.
Fletcher Bird is there. Sweetums is in there too.
Yeah, Sweetums does it.
and then Statler and Waldorf are dancing in their seats.
That's funny.
That was funny. They do a little like a turn with their head tilting up and head up.
Waldorf kind of looked like my 9-month-old son, to be honest.
Ooh, wow! Your
It's like
9-month-old son has a mustache.
Yeah, maybe some.
Yes, and that's a great point, though. The Muppets normally do not have legs, and they cannot do the conga. But
right,
yeah, and it's fun to see. Like, I don't think all the celebrities joined in on this, but you can see a few of them. Like, Red Buttons is featured prominently in a few shots, and he's doing this thing where he puts his hands behind his head as he dances, and I've seen him do that in other things. Was that like his signature move to dance with a hand behind his head? I don't really get that.
I don't know. You should write a letter to his foundation.
Well, yeah, I should go find the Red Buttons fan site, I guess.
That sounds like that just sounds awful. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Red Buttons. In fact, I don't think I could have pointed him out to be like, oh, he's the guy with his hand behind his head.
Well, he's an Academy Award winner, Joe. So that shows how much Oscar will get in the long run.
Oh, what did he win for?
For this special.
Of course.
I believe it's called Sayonara or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, the 1957 film Sayonara.
Wow.
And that was for lead actor, supporting actor?
That's supporting actor. The lead was Marlon Brando.
Wow, good for Red Buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's...
Yeah, speaking of Sayonara...
well, that's almost the end. So I guess the idea is that all the celebrities conga out the door and everybody leaves.
Yes, they conga out the door, and then Rita later says, by tomorrow morning they'll be halfway to Tijuana. So I guess they're just going. They're, like the whole.
That's a long way.
It's a celebrity chain.
All the way there.
That's right. By the way, do you think that's the most famous conga line ever?
The most yeah, maybe.
If you include all the Muppets who have been superimposed in the conga line?
Yeah, but I would guess that like there must be some like stage door canteens type movie from the 40s that has like every star at a studio doing a conga line or something. You know, would not surprise me.
It's possible.
If there's one that has like Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn and Jimmy Stewart all doing a conga in the same movie or something. I don't know.
And Sweetums.
And Sweetums.
Yeah, I'd like to know. I'd like to know if that exists.
So then we get this scene at the very end before the credits, where the Muppets are just like hanging out in this empty coconut grove.
Yeah, I like this moment where it's just kind of the Muppets reflecting on how they like. Isn't it amazing that they can rub shoulders with these big stars, and then they start.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, just a few Muppets hanging around the piano, and then they start singing "Hooray for Hollywood." They say they take turns. They say we're any funny bear or eager frog or thing or dog, and Scooter has the line or thing.
Yeah,
is Scooter a thing?
That definitely should have gone to Gonzo.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I thought Scooter was a humanoid, or I mean, he's been identified as a gopher, but not an animal gopher. Gofer.
I know Gonzo is there.
He is.
Yes.
He has a line right after that about famous chickens or
right,
something.
So Dave Goelz was definitely there. It's not like they couldn't, use him.
They should have switched. Well, I guess if he has the chicken line, maybe that's why they didn't. They wanted Scooter to say something.
Yeah, Richard Hunt needed something to do in that scene.
I just don't know how else Scooter could have identified himself. Like,
I mean, that's the thing. Like, we don't know what they were thinking at the time that Scooter was. I guess, the closest we ever came was, like, he was the kid.
Well, yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Maybe, any kid that would fit.
His uncle's a human.
Yeah, but that could have been by marriage.
That's true.
That's interesting. J.P. Gross looks more like a human than Scooter does.
When I was a kid, I think I always assumed that Scooter was some sort of bird. Like his face kind of looks like a big beak.
What's the thing? There's some interview maybe from the 60 Minutes appearance where Richard Hunt had Scooter say something like "My mom was a parakeet" or something like that.
No, maybe yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, the Swedish chef, gets a line in the song, which is never not funny.
Yep.
Everyone's singing, and he just comes in with his mock Swedish.
But it rhymes. It's an easy way to get a rhyme.
Right, exactly. They're rewriting the lyrics, and they need something to rhyme.
That's right.
So, Schmurge, Schmier Frier, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like this. It's such a low-key musical number.
Yeah, I like it. Well, and it feels very, like, them kind of just exhaling and letting their guard down, and they can be themselves again or something.
After this big noisy party.
Well, and especially because like they're asking the question like if like is it true? Are we really stars now? And although we know, yes, now you're big movie stars. It's like, well, but we don't want it to get to your head. We still want you to go and like do the Muppet Show in this crappy theater.
Right.
You know, we don't want we want you to stay grounded, and I feel like that was an important scene to have, especially because that's when Kermit tells them to save money, they were going to clean up after the party.
Right. Not only are they staying at the Bidewee Motor Inn, they are the cleaning crew. That's and right. Miss Piggy has to mop.
Miss Piggy has to mop. And then I appreciate... So Kermit's giving everyone tasks to do, and he and Miss Piggy end up arguing. And then you hear Kermit in the distance kind of say, "I'll wash and you dry," which is what Jim Henson says in Muppet Family Christmas!
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's the camera's not on them at that point. It's like when the credits start rolling. But yeah, definitely says that.
Wow, hey, you guys, this special has one of the same lines as Muppet Family Christmas. So let's watch that instead next.
It has something in common with Muppet Family Christmas.
It's just as good as Muppet Family Christmas.
No, I mean, there's about 10 minutes in this that are good. Like, it's not all terrible.
But that's 10 more minutes than John Denver and the Muppets: A Rocky Mountain Holiday.
Yeah, that's probably right. There's not very much in that I like at all.
Well, that one's interesting. That's an interesting comparison because that one is definitely more scripted. I mean, it's not so spontaneous as this one, but maybe the results were not much better.
Maybe we can talk about that after the Great Muppet Caper.
Maybe.
I guess that's where it would fall on the timeline, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay tuned for that in, I don't know, a year and a half or whenever.
Yeah.
And that's all I have on the Muppets Go Hollywood, actually. Do you guys have anything else? Anthony? Actually, I should start with Joe, our guest.
It's funny. Like, I mean, you're right. Not all of this, much of this special does not work. And the stuff that does work, I think, works despite itself. Because it's such a weird special. And it's so different from everything else, but also like, it's like that weird mix of like, here's the Muppets, like, just kind of screwing around on camera, and here's Muppets putting on a live show. And the latter is definitely like, it feels like it's a precursor to like the Hollywood Bowl show and the O2 show that they did recently. Only a little bit. There's a couple of similarities, but only a little bit. But I don't know. I think it's a fun part of Muppet history. I'm glad that they didn't do this over and over and over again. But I think, if you like Muppets, it's worth watching once.
Yeah, I do like these weird, obscure corners of Muppet history. So that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm not upset that it exists. Or like, I know I've been playing the grump during this, but like, to be honest, you're like you guys say, it's fascinating that it exists. I just wish that I would much rather watch an edited reel of the highlights that is 10 minutes long than watch all the shots of like.
Yeah, that's fair. That's like it's saying like all I want to watch is the good parts and not the bad parts. It's like, well, I think that's true for anything, right?
Right, but like the only so here's my final thought. The only thing that I wrote down in my notes that I didn't get to say is the location interview with Fozzie. Right, where he's trying to make his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. A guy comes up to him and he says, "Yeah, you're the bear. Hey man, you're the bear. You're the bear." Like 70 times.
Yeah, like, oh, I know you. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and you know it that he's gonna think Fozzie is Smokey the Bear. You know it the whole time. It's like anti-comedy, but not like the way people do it now, where that's the joke is that it's anti-comedy. It's just like the laziest possible joke that you could do about Fozzie Bear, and it's in a Muppet special.
I don't know if I could have presumed that it was going to be Smokey specifically, but I do like the fact that he doesn't just say like you're Smokey, right? Like he says like it's because of you. This is one guy who will never set a forest fire or whatever.
I did laugh at that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, guys, that's a Jay Leno type joke. Like,
you're gonna start complaining about easy jokes that the Muppets do. Then you gotta knock out half the Muppet Show, man.
Did a Muppet do that joke, or did some random guy with bad timing do that joke?
But it's not just that. It's Fozzie's reaction. Fozzie gives a take to the camera, which is great.
And I laughed at the part where he said, "This is one guy who'll never start a forest fire." I thought that little, I don't know, that little button on the joke made it work better for me.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I thought it was embarrassing.
Also, I didn't predict that he was gonna say "You're Smokey Bear." I thought he was gonna say "You're the dog who plays the piano."
But he says "You're the bear" like 50 times before he says his name.
Oh, okay.
He's like, "Hey, you're the bear. I'm a big fan. You're the bear." So that's why I was like, he's going to think he's Smokey the Bear.
He obviously was not going to say, "You're Fozzie Bear, the comedian."
Right. And then he did. And it was like, yes, this is filling airtime on CBS. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that the Muppets got a time slot on the network, and this is what they did with it. What a great way to get people to see their movie.
Yes, and we're so glad that our listeners have chosen to fill their airtime on their devices with our podcast. And if there are no other thoughts, we can wrap things up. So listeners, as always, please check out toughpigs.com on the internet, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and various other places. You can find me on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. Anthony is on Twitter at ZeppoMarxist. And Joe, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at Tough Pigs everywhere, but you can find my personal stuff at Joe Hennis, which is also coincidentally my name.
Whoa!
Right?
That is a coincidence.
Amazing.
Yeah, and hey, we say this every episode, but this would be a great time to go to iTunes, give us a positive review, Apple Podcast, iTunes, whatever it's called. Tell all your friends about the show. Do it right now. If you think about it every episode, this is the time to do it. And we will see you next time. We're going to be doing another bonus episode before we start up with the Great Muppet Caper. Sometime in the near future, we will be watching and discussing the Tonight Show episode where Kermit guest hosted and all the Muppets ran amok.
Oh, that's exciting. I love that thing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And so, yeah, we will see you then. And thanks for joining us for this episode of Moving Right Along. And now, everyone, please join us in a conga line.
Hey!
Conga!
Ian Stapleton is in this.